Seneca once said, "A soul without direction will always be dragged." And many men, when faced with an emotionally unstable woman, think they're dealing with someone who needs care, affection, and understanding, but they don't realize they're being dragged down along with her. Her confusion, in many cases, isn't fragility. It's unconscious structure. It's a way of operating. It's a subtle method of exerting power without ever asking for permission. She says she doesn't know. She changes her mind. She comes close and pulls away, all in the same breath. And while you're trying to understand, you're already caught in the cycle. This video isn't an attack. It's a lens. A lens that reveals what lies behind the veil of emotional instability. You, the man who's been the nice guy hearing, "I just need time," and stayed waiting. The one who's been treated with affection one day and ignored the next. You who believes you can fix her chaos with presence, words, and patience. This message is for you, to tell you the game already began the moment she said she didn't know what she felt. And if you don't have internal firmness, you'll be sucked in. The silent pain, feeling confused by her confusion, thinking the problem is you, believing you're just not enough. But the truth is different. She doesn't need more affection. She needs someone who doesn't sway with the wind of her moods. And your hidden desire to be the kind of man who doesn't lose his center when the world around him spins. A man who doesn't try to fix chaos with more words, but who stays grounded in the middle of the storm. Let's dive into this invisible terrain, not to judge, but to see, and from that place, to choose where you step, before you mistake emotion for depth and instability for intensity. She looks at you like you're her whole universe, compliments you, draws you in, kisses you like there's no tomorrow, and the next day, silence. Coldness, distance, disinterest. You check your phone, no response. You replay the night before, trying to understand, what did I do wrong? And you start to adjust. You walk on eggshells. You soften your truth just to fit into her instability. Her confusion contaminates you. You, once centered, start to oscillate. You, who had rhythm, start living in expectation. And without realizing it, you're no longer living for yourself. You're reacting to the emotional chaos of someone who doesn't even know herself. What most men don't understand is that women with internal conflict project that conflict, not out of malice, but they do, because they feel, and what they feel, they spread. If you're too available, too invested, too emotionally present, she'll dump what she can't sort out, and you'll think you're being a partner, when in fact, you're being an anchor for a boat that doesn't even know which direction it wants to sail. And the real pain here isn't being ignored. It's losing yourself trying to understand someone who doesn't even understand herself. It's trying to solve an emotional riddle she hasn't even tried to decipher. And the more you try, the weaker you seem. The more she pulls away, the more you blame yourself. Seneca said, the first step to freedom is the courage to not be dragged. And if you want to keep your structure, you must stop blaming yourself for what isn't yours. It's not your job to balance someone else's emotional chaos. Your mission is not to be a therapist. It's to be firm and stay whole, even when yesterday's tenderness turns into today's void. One thing men must clearly accept is this: the female mind isn't wired like the male mind. And no, that's not a flaw. It's nature. It's biology. It's an ancestral survival strategy. While the male brain seeks resolution and direction, the female mind is far more attuned to perception, emotion, and environmental cues. For millennia, women navigated uncertainty, ensuring protection, analyzing risk, balancing instinct and social need. This built a mental pattern deeply rooted in ambivalence. What does that mean in real life? It means her confusion isn't always fake. It's a process. It's how she tests emotional reality before opening up. She craves safety, but also desires intensity. She wants affection, but needs to feel challenge. She yearns for stability, but is moved by contrast. So her confusion becomes a filter, a radar, an emotional sieve. And when she senses that you are stable yet intense, firm yet empathetic, unshaken by emotional highs and lows, she feels trust, she feels desire, she feels respect. But if you start oscillating with her, if you over-explain, justify, and shapeshift, you fail the test without ever realizing it began. What you must understand is that female emotional chaos in many cases is just the reflection of a system constantly scanning. It's not evil, it's survival. And if you bring more instability to the table, she gets lost. But if you are structure, she grounds herself. Seneca said, "He who is constant in himself will not be shaken by the changes of others." That's the essence here. She can be confused, but the problem starts when you are too. Your clarity isn't arrogance, it's direction. And that, consciously or not, is what she's looking for. She says, "I don't know what I want." You feel it. She changes her mind. You react. She pulls away. You chase. And in this invisible cycle, you begin to mold yourself to an energy that never defines itself. You tone down your intensity so you don't seem too much. You become overly understanding, overly tolerant, overly available until you stop being a man and become the anchor of a ship that doesn't know if it wants to sail or sink. But there is a way out, and it begins with one simple, powerful decision. Stop trying to fix her conflict. Just observe and position yourself. If she says she's confused, respond with calm firmness. Then find yourself first. I know where I stand. This isn't arrogance. It's clarity. It's you calmly stating that you will not be absorbed by an emotional storm that isn't yours, that you have a center, and that center does not orbit someone else's doubt. Never negotiate your presence based on someone else's instability. Your presence is a prize, not a bargaining chip. You don't need to prove your understanding. You need to show that you're consistent. And how do you do that? With routine, with mission, with discipline. Those three pillars are visible anchors. When she wavers, you remain. When she tests, you don't react, you observe. And if she can't align, you walk away with dignity. A man who holds his position in the face of female chaos isn't cold, he is solid. And solidity, in a world where everything is liquid, is pure attraction. Seneca taught, true freedom lies in not being ruled by the emotions of others. And here's your turning point. She doesn't need more affection from you. She needs to feel that when she tests you, she has finally met something unshakable. You don't extinguish emotional fire with emotion. You extinguish it with structure. And the woman who feels that will realize she is, maybe for the first time, facing a man who doesn't lose himself trying to understand because he has already decided what he will never tolerate. Have you ever seen a whirlwind? It sucks in everything around it. Leaves, dust, anything not anchored, but what's grounded stays. So is the emotional chaos of a confused woman. She shifts tones, she tears down what seemed built, she mixes signals, contradicts herself, denies what she felt the night before, and the average man walks straight into the storm, starts questioning, asking for explanations, trying to decode, and he loses what was most precious, his direction. But the man who knows himself doesn't enter. He observes, he analyzes, he pulls his energy back. And that's not coldness, it's protection of his axis. Your body must speak what your mouth no longer needs to repeat. Firm shoulders, steady steps, direct gaze, controlled breath, unhurried voice. Nothing in him screams desperation to please, because everything in him already says, I know who I am, and I'm not here to be reshaped. She silently shouts, prove you're worthy, and he calmly replies, I'm already worthy of my own peace. She expects a reaction. He remains still. She contradicts herself. He observes. And it's in that contrast that respect is born, because the man who doesn't sway with her instability becomes the mirror of the strength she can't name, but deeply recognizes and desires. His mind doesn't enter the doubt. It acknowledges the doubt, but refuses to be ruled by it. He thinks, if she doesn't know what she wants, then she's not ready for me. And that conviction doesn't need to be spoken. It only needs to be felt. Seneca said, just because everything around you is in chaos doesn't mean you must lose your peace. And in relationships, that hits even harder. If you want to be remembered, respected, Desired, be the one who stays calm in the storm. And that calm isn't resistance, it's self-control, because only a firm man can bring peace in the midst of confusion. And that's the kind of man that, even after she leaves, she never forgets. You weren't rejected, you were tested, you weren't abandoned. You were observed. She didn't want answers. She wanted to see if you'd lose yourself trying to give them all. And maybe you did. Maybe you confused love with blind acceptance. Maybe you traded firmness for endless understanding. Maybe you tried to heal what even she couldn't name. But now things are different. Now you understand. Her confusion is not an invitation. It's a filter, and only the man who is clear within himself makes it through without being consumed. Seneca said, "Nothing is more unfortunate than a hesitant mind in search of direction." And that's the portrait of thousands of relationships today. Confused women emotionally, and men so starved for approval that they'll accept any scrap of affection, as long as they feel like they're still in the game. But you're not in that game anymore. You're not playing to please. You're not staying to be chosen. You're not chasing someone who confuses you. You simply observe and decide. Because now you understand. A man who knows what he wants doesn't beg for answers. He removes himself from whoever still lives in doubt, and that withdrawal is not revenge. It's self-respect. It's not coldness. It's clarity. It's not pride. It's structure. Master yourself. Don't enter her maze. Because the more you try to lead someone who doesn't want to be led, the further you drift from your mission. She might be confused, but you are not. Because only a man who is whole can create peace in the middle of confusion. And that's the kind of man who, even long after she's gone, she never forgets.